Thank you for tuning in to our third segment of our webinar series, exploring how to serve clients during key life events on their wealth management journeys. I'm Cassie Jackson, Chief Growth Officer at Bento. If you've been following along with the series, I hope that you agree it's time for advisors to consider changing their value promise. Today, Bill Trigleth and I are going to dive into exactly how advisors can implement this change. Bill, I can't wait for our listeners to learn more. How does an advisor go about creating a life event response system?
Thanks. There are a couple of ways to create a life event response system. As we explore what the life event response system is, we'll also help advisors think through the right path for them to do this by offering some choices. The first choice they need to make is, will I create a standardized approach to help my clients respond to the life events that they face, or will I not? The second decision is, will I build or buy the expertise needed to bring the specific knowledge on each different life event that a client needs to know to make the best choice on how to respond? To answer these questions, let's first look at the four-step life event process that we recommend. Each step has specific objectives and requires certain client interactions, collateral material, and discussions about the life event, its consequences, and its impact on the client's life. We also need to explore the potential choices to respond to the event, and as decisions are made, action plans need to be put in place to ensure implementation. We suggest using the same four-step process to address every life event. That way, you can create a life event response kit for use with the client, and they and the advisor become familiar with a rhythm of action that ensures confidence and results in great and complete outcomes. Over time, this leads to great efficiency in responding to life events for both the client and the advisor. The only difference between responding to one life event versus another is the expert knowledge that's placed inside the life event response kit specific to that event. I know many advisors who don't standardize anything they do. Generally, they feel that they know what needs to be done. And for these folks, I recommend at a minimum, at least a simple checklist would be helpful to ensure you don't forget anything critical when helping a client. However, not installing a standardized life event response process, it might save time and effort up front, but you lose the ability to understand your cost and capture any efficiency gains, and you lose the ability to scale your offer. And so that goes out the window. That's because taking the time to put in place a standardized process means you do the intellectual and production work only once. And every time you deliver the service going forward, others can effortlessly play their part. And the only variable is how efficient you use your time instead of recreating the wheel and making ad hoc requests for help from your staff, which is a time and profit killer. Now, you can embed a standard workflow that includes each step of our four-step life event response process into your CRM's task manager. As you build your workflow, you also want to create, for the client engagement, the material that's going to be needed to be placed into the life event kit. Here's a look at some examples we suggest you place in each of the kits. A quick start guide to provide a place for the client to initially reflect on what areas of their life might be impacted by this event and what do they already know they want to know. Then a list of information sources and tools the advisor wants to be able to share with the client to help them capture a more complete understanding of the issues and the potential solutions that are going to be available to them. Then also a life event consequence survey that identifies for the areas of their life that are impacted by the event, what are the potential consequences and what's their ultimate objective regarding each of those consequences. And also a life event response project plan is also suggested. It's going to list the tasks that need to be completed to achieve the objectives they identify as important to create a complete response to the life event. Now, the advisor will also use this to monitor and report progress on implementing the response. Let's address the second decision for the advisor. Will you build or buy the expertise that guides a client and you to make the best response for each different life event? And there are some advantages and drawbacks to either choice. First, let's be honest. Advisors, like their clients, don't know what they don't know. So if they knew all the critical things that must be considered for the potential of 100 or 200 life events that a client's likely going to face during their lifetime, this white paper wouldn't have been needed. So this paper offers a 10-point plan that describes the steps you need to take to create your own expert system. The advantage to doing this is you get to build rapport with subject matter experts who can become referral sources for you, and you learn as you go. As you determine what life events go into your system, you build more and more of this capability for you and your practice. The drawback is this takes a lot of time and effort to initially create, and then you got to keep it up to date. The alternative is to purchase a life event expert system, one that delivers the information the client needs to know and what you need to know. The advantage is you go to market faster. It certainly takes less effort on your part, and the time spent keeping things up to date can be spent with clients and responding to their life events. The disadvantage is you're limited to helping clients with those events the developer determines are needed and at the level of depth applicable to a common denominator. But there's always the option to combine the two approaches, and that may make sense for advisors who have several clients with certain specific circumstances not germane to the typical consumer. Cassie, you asked, how does an advisor go about creating the life event response system? And we covered a couple of paths to do this, but I want to call out that it is critical advisors understand that the expertise element inside the 4-step life event response process is required to deliver the new Advice4Life value promise. The expertise element drives the pricing of your services, and without an expert system backing the advisor up, the Advice4Life value promise is going to be empty. Now, in our next webinar, we're going to explore the changes to the advisor's business model that creates the opportunity to use this 4-step process. I specifically called out Bento engine as a resource in my white paper because of how it makes this transformation so much easier than an advisor doing everything themselves. Cassie, you've got ideas about how Bento engine helps advisors do the heavy lifting of placing expertise in each of these specific life event kits to be used in the 4-step life event response process. So let me pass the controls over to you.
Thank you for breaking this down for us, Bill. I'm going to bring this to life by sharing details about Bento's Life in Numbers and Life Events programs and how advisors can use these programs to lead with advice and standardize this process. With both of these programs, advisors will receive an alert or task within their existing CRM that has everything they need to reach out to clients on these topics. So first, I'm going to talk about these two programs, and then I'm going to show you exactly what that task alert looks like that includes the Bento advice package to proactively advise on these topics. So our first program I have up here is our Life in Numbers, which focuses on the 15 regulatory birth dates that trigger distinct wealth management risks and opportunities. You'll see on the right-hand side, we have 10 that are retirement related, things like RMDs, Medicare, QCDs, these opportunities that you have to proactively reach out to your clients. And then on the left-hand side, we have 5 related to assisting the next generation. These are great opportunities to reach out to the children of your clients to cover topics that are important to them. We know that very few children even consider working with their parents' advisors, so a great way to touch base early on. And with our life events program, you'll see on the top I have our life in numbers, and across the bottom we have life events. These are the typical life events that your clients will experience at some time during their life. So their first job, going off to college, getting married, buying a business, these are great opportunities for you to add value to your clients. If a client reaches out tomorrow and says, I'm buying a business, within minutes, you'll have the content at your fingertips that you need to advise them on this topic. Let's take a look at that advice package. I'm going to pull this up within WealthBox. This will look the same within any CRM that you use, whether it's Redtail, Salesforce. If you have a different CRM you're using, we're going to trigger a task or alert within the CRM. You'll see here you have your regular follow-ups tasks, And now you have the Bento alerts. So let's take a look at catch-up contributions. Look at this for our client, Brittany. So these alerts are always going to be structured the same. You'll see, why is your client receiving this alert? Who would it be most relevant to? And then here you have links to the complete Bento advice package. I'll circle back to that in just a moment. You're always going to have best practices to consider when using this alert, and then potential solutions to meet the client's needs. We're never going to recommend products here, but we will help bridge the gap between this advice opportunity and other conversations that it may lead to, so that you're fully prepared when you discuss this with your client. Coming back up to the advice package, you'll see we have different formats so that you can reach out to your client in a way that works best for them. We have a short email. This is a copy-paste email. There's some highlighted red text where you can customize. Otherwise, you can just copy, paste, send this information about catch-up contributions off to your client. We have key talking points if you want to make a call. We're not going to provide a script, but it's really a framing for this conversation. So introduction, all the topics you need at your fingertips to advise on catch-up contributions, and then recommended ways to wrap up that call, next steps as you run through this key talking points document. And then we have a PowerPoint and PDF visual for your clients that are visual learners. These are always going to look the same. 3 different sections: the what, the why, and the how. In this case of catch-up contributions, always bullet points and graphs so your clients can run through this information and you can run through it with them. And then supporting information here, key sources, and further readings on these topics. If you want to dive deeper into the advice package or any of our programs, visit bentoengine.com, schedule some time with our team. We would love to show you the full view of what we have to offer.